Hello, I'm John Nance, and today I am here with...
Krista Powell.
Amazing. And who are you?
I am a daughter. I am a step sibling. I am a partner. I'm a stepmom. I also have the privilege of being an educator. I am a follower of the ways of Jesus. I am a person who wants to try to make the world around me a better place.
And then to get into that, like talking about being an educator, when did that all start?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting question because for me, I initially wanted to be like a counselor and a youth pastor. And then my senior year of high school, I did, it was like where you could go to school half day, work half day. And I got to work with fifth graders. And I was like, I knew I wanted to work with like young adults, and I was like, I could like spend all day with them. And so that was kind of what intrigued me. And then I was a teacher, and I was like, is this... So I, went through the schooling, I became a teacher, and then it was like 10 years, and I was like, do I really want to do this? So I can honestly say it wasn't until I was a teacher for 10 years where I really knew, like, this is what I want to do. You never really know, right, what life will bring or what changes or avenues, but I love working with students and feeling like I can try to help, our future in that sense. But honestly, I think being a teacher... Now it's been 17 years, but I think you start to see like things that you want to change. And so a dream I think of mine is to hopefully in the near future, within 5 years, hopefully like work to start a nonprofit that would work with education and just start to help some of the barriers and gaps that are here rather than us operating in silos like education. And school is essentially it's just a reflection of our social problems, So there's so many systemic injustices and so many things that it's like, hey, what can we do to help everybody have a voice? And I feel like right now that isn't true. And so it's like, how can we change that? Because it should be true.
It definitely starts with you guys, but also you guys need that push, that help.
And that's just it. Like, education is not the only answer. We need our community, and we can all work together. And that's what I mean. We live currently, in my opinion, a very resource-rich community. And it's 100%. Like, how can we help collaborate and together do a better job of serving our kids, our future?
Youth, yeah. What's your background?
I was actually born in a small little town, Broken Bow, Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would have never known that.
Yep. My dad was an agricultural teacher, and so he worked there. I lived there very shortly. Like, I really don't have any memories of that except from, like, pictures. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and then Wisconsin. And in many ways, like, Denver is still always home because so much of my family, extended family, lives there. And I remember moving here, I was like, where am I living? Like, it was such a big adjustment. And I had one white neighbor growing up,
Really?
And so when I moved here, I was like in culture shock, honestly. I mean, Appleton, it does have, it has a little bit of big city feel to it. And there's the arts, and, we're getting some things at bigger cities. So we're attracting 100%. Some of that, which is cool. So,
what would you say your biggest struggle in life right now?
I think for me, it's like systemic injustices and barriers that I see. But like, I think just working in the institution, if you will, of education, I think that's a really tough one for me. Another struggle for me is like religion and how I feel like it doesn't always represent the revolutionary, like countercultural figure of Jesus. Or I think for me, those two things are tough on a personal level. I think for me, sometimes it's being vulnerable and asking for help, because we all need help. I think letting people see the humanness, I believe that like as humans, we're both like masterpiece and mess, and letting the people that are close to me, like really letting them into that and not trying to hide it. And, I think we all have our differences of how much we want to be with others, but I think like being in community and living that way with however many you choose or is how we were probably created. And if you look back,
we're totally far away from that.
Yeah. And I think that's why we're kind of in the loneliness crisis that I think we're in, And with that too, I don't know, I'd heard a Buddhist teacher once say like your life should demonstrate like inhaling and exhaling. And so I think for somebody who was very wired to like love people and help people, I have to be very intentional about like that's exhaling, and I love that. I have to also be intentional about making sure I'm taking time for myself and inhaling. And so, and that can be with people sometimes, but also I think for me being more introverted, it's like I gotta take time to just process my emotions or, spend time by myself reading or whatever, learning. So
it's a perfect balance.
That'll be a lifelong journey, but
oh yeah. We'll never like 100% figure it out.
Yeah.
Never. What would you say brings you the most happiness right now?
What brings me happiness? I think for me, just being in nature, beauty. I mean, I think it's just one of my top values, and for me, that's probably the way that I can like just kind of instantly relax is if I'm like taking a walk outside in just nature and beauty and
Silence, just the animals.
yeah, just nature. Like it can instantly calm me down after stress. So I think that's something that brings me like happiness and joy. I also think, beauty can come in various forms, like art, like just taking in art in so many different ways, creativity, live music. I love learning, kind of constantly growing. Sometimes that's hard, of course, but like I think that brings me happiness and joy and like that inner contentment.
If you could tell your younger self anything, or someone who's going to grow up in the same route you kind of went, what would be something or a piece of advice you would leave them with?
I think I would try to encourage them to like discover and explore and figure out who they are and never stop exploring that. Like I don't think it's like, oh, I've now arrived. Like I think that's a lifelong evolutionary journey, but I think take time in the space to like figure out like what do you enjoy, what do you love, what brings you passion, what interests you, and then like pursue that. And then I also think once you kind of learn that, like start to walk that out and be who you're created to be, because I truly believe that each of us is like a unique masterpiece that can like birth certain things into this world, and that we never know how long our life will be, and so it's like the world is depending upon each of us to bring that into the world, and and to fully live. I think if I could narrow it down to those three off the top of my head, it would be that: live fully, because life is precious, and live fully and love.
Spectating your whole life, if you could do something all over again, would you do the same thing or would you do it differently, and if so, what?
There was a time like right after I had finished college, actually, and because I just love other cultures and learning about other cultures, and I don't know, there's something inside me that's just always been drawn to that, and so I wanted to join the Peace Corps and like go work in other countries, and so I think there's a lot the United States has to learn that we could learn from other places, and so I think to like explore that and work with kids around the world I think would be pretty cool too. I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel some and be in other cultures, and it's like there's so much we can learn from one another.
Appreciate you for sitting and talking with me, and I am John Nance, and I am speaking to
Krista Powell.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
And I have to say this because I was like, if I could go back to the question, but I didn't want to interrupt. I remember you talking about how much you love photography and like seeing your just love for that. And so to know that you are like walking that passion out, it's just cool to see like that. And how you're like, I'm more comfortable in the world with my camera. And I was just like, how beautiful. And so to me, it's like when you say what brings you happiness and joy, I'm like this moment, and I'm grateful for it as well. Like to share this with you.